Thank you, Brother Jeremy. When Paul wrote to the Romans here, this is one of the most profound books in the Bible, because Paul opens up things in the gospel that no one else did here in this book. And it's kind of ironic that even before he begins to open a lot of truth up, already we're seeing the fruit of the gospel. As Brother Jeremy made this point several times, Paul knew where to invest. He gives thanks because he had already heard of the faith of the Roman brethren throughout the whole world. So Paul says, here's where I can invest. This is where the Lord's working. And look at the wonderful things he wrote to them and expounded to them. Now all of us here know this by our own experiences. We've learned where to invest ourselves. You look about, and we've all been in places where the Lord was not there and the Lord was not working, and we tried. We tried helping people. We tried investing. We tried laboring, and in almost every case it came to nothing. But now here, Paul saw that this is the way the Lord works. Where the Lord's at, there you'll see fruit. And this is the fruit. Amen. Verse 8, Paul says, I thank my God through Jesus Christ for you all, that your faith is spoken of throughout the whole world. For, as I give thanks for this, that I've heard your faith, for, in today's text, because he'd been praying for them. So in other words, Paul says, I see the fruit of the gospel at work in you, Roman brethren, or at least I've heard of it, but also I've seen the fruit of my own prayers. I've been praying for you, and here I hear this good news. So now the exhortation to us is then that we already know this, but it's good to hear it again. This is how we labor, that we invest what the Lord has given us. I want to say invest your faith, but I know that's not the proper way to say it. Use your faith to invest where the Lord's working. Amen. Because that's the place that it's guaranteed to produce fruit. Amen. Because that's the way Paul saw it. The Lord's already there, so I know I can write these profound and wonderful things that Jesus taught me. I can write to them because I've already heard that the Lord's at work there. Amen. Now we've experienced this here, where we have embraced the gospel, we preach the gospel, we don't allow false doctrine to be taught, and we've grown. Amen. And we can see where the Lord continues to give us more, and because the Lord is working here, He continues to cause us to abound in His grace. Now contrast what Paul wrote to the Romans with what he wrote to the church at Corinth, and there's quite a difference. Now at Corinth, he did address them as brethren and as a church, but he couldn't tell them the kind of things that he told the Romans. So on the other half of the exhortation is for us to be in the position where we can receive the gospel, to be faithful and believing of what the gospel declares. And this, I'm not talking about just believing a statement and saying, yeah, I believe that. We're talking about as it works out in your everyday life, at home, when we leave the assembly, how you live will be evident of what you believe. So we want to keep ourselves in the love of God, as Jude said, and able to be recipients of the truth, because if we continue to bear good fruit, then the Lord will continue to give us more and cause us to increase the more. So my exhortation then is, as in the assembly, let's continue as we have been doing, preaching the gospel. There are things that could be distracting to us. We can't deny this. I'm talking about here in our assembly. There are things that could distract us. Let's not let it happen. Let's continue in the Word, continue in the gospel as we have been doing. Brother Jeremy said, be productive. This is how we do it. And at home, several of the brethren recently have spoken of things that the Lord's convicted them of, that things to set aside, not necessarily sinful things, but things that are a distraction or rob you of your time or maybe rob your affections. These are things that are necessary in order to move forward and move onward. And these are the things that the Lord worked in these Roman brethren. So they received this good word from Paul. So that's my exhortation, brethren, is to invest in the word and in prayer, and invest yourselves for the people of God, to be looking about to see where the Lord is working, and realize that that is a very sound investment when you invest yourselves there.